The push to include Sweden and Finland in NATO comes as Russia's assault on Ukraine heightens concerns in other countries in the region. Moscow, which has long been weary of NATO expansion, has spoken out against the two countries' plans to join the alliance. Previously, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated that he would not approve the applications because of their support for Kurdish organizations that Turkey regards as security threats. Keep on watching to find out what Turkey regards as terrorism and what Finland and Sweden brings to the table in NATO. NATO Security General Jens Stoltenberg announced on Tuesday that the world's most powerful military alliance has reached an agreement to admit Sweden and Finland after resolving Turkey's concerns. The three countries' foreign ministers signed a memorandum to confirm that Turkey will support Sweden and Finland's NATO bids at a summit in Madrid this week, according to Finnish President Sauli Niinistö. Our joint memorandum underscores Finland, Sweden, and Turkey's commitment to provide full support against threats to each other's security, Finland's leader said. Becoming NATO allies will strengthen this commitment even more, he added. Stoltenberg told reporters last week that he was working to bring Finland and Sweden into NATO as soon as possible. According to him, it will make them safer, NATO stronger, and the Euro-Atlantic region more secure. Stoltenberg said that NATO are now actively working on the next steps in both Finland and Sweden's accession processes, all while addressing Turkey's security concerns, including the fight against terrorism. Turkey has demanded that both nations designate the Kurdish Workers' Movement, PKK, as a terrorist organization as they are actively fighting against the Kurds in northern Syria. A number of members from the PKK have taken refuge in Sweden as they regard it as a legitimate movement and have been vital in the fight against Islamic extremists in both Iraq and ISIL in Syria, while also fighting the Assad regime in the Syrian civil war. Finland and Sweden already met many of the criteria for NATO membership. Among the requirements are a functioning democratic political system, a willingness to provide economic transparency, and the ability to contribute military forces to NATO missions. Both countries began the formal application process for membership in NATO in May, and Russia has already reacted negatively towards a potential membership of the Scandinavian states. The bid to bring them into NATO poses a challenge for the Russian strategic situation as they no longer control the Baltic Sea. Kaliningrad, another hotspot, finds itself further isolated from Russia with NATO troops surrounding them completely. Finland and Sweden both bring significant firepower to the alliance. Sweden is largely self-supplied with weapons from their own production, which include equipment ranging from fighter jets such as the JAS Gripen to infantry fighting vehicles such as the newly upgraded CV-90 variants. As is normal in Scandinavian countries, both Sweden and Finland can field a significant amount of home guard soldiers, which in wartime effectively mobilizes the entire population for war. Finland has used the last decade to modernize its equipment from old Soviet standards to Western, modern equipment. In their latest move, they decided to go ahead with the purchase of the F-35 Lightning II to replace their F-18 Hornets. Both countries rely heavily on their dispersal concept and regularly do exercises where they deploy their jets from the military airfields where they are vulnerable. Designated roads and highways are used as makeshift runways, with all support being done in hiding within the forested areas of the countrysides, making it much harder to deal for a potential aggressor. Russia is no doubt worried about the developing situation. Having deployed most of their combat-able forces to the Black Sea region and into Ukraine, they have few troops left to guard the Kola Peninsula, which hosts the powerhouse of nuclear-armed submarines, the single most powerful branch of the Russian armed forces, and an integral part of the Russian nuclear triad. Russia seeks to defend Kola at all costs in the event of a war, and having another NATO country on their border just miles away with fifth-generation stealth fighters will force Russia to think twice about any further aggression. Following the submission of the bids, President Joe Biden, flanked by Niinistö and Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson, stated that the two countries would make NATO stronger. He referred to their decision to join the pact as a victory for democracy. Biden promised to work with Congress and the other 29 NATO members to bring Sweden and Finland into the organization as soon as possible. There is no doubt that NATO is relevant, effective, and needed now more than ever, Biden said on May 19th after meeting with Finnish and Swedish leaders at the White House. Do you think this will change the situation in Europe for the better, or will Russia, backed by China, make the Baltics pay a price? Let us know in the comments below.